Glad to welcome you back. This is still Rise and Shine coming to live on Spectrum TV. Of course, we're beaming live in Uyo, the very beautiful city of Akwa Ibom State. We still encourage you to join the conversations on a social media platform, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. Of course, this morning, just a quick run through of what we've conversed about. We started with Akwa Ibom State at 36. And the fact that Akwa Ibom State government has planned a Made in Akwa Ibom trade fair as part of activities to celebrate that. Then, of course, this is a welcome development that is widely appreciated by the entrepreneurs who are into different, product and services in the interest of meeting a need for daily sustenance. We moved away from that to our brother John Obot, who is currently attempting to create a new World Guinness record for the longest reading aloud. Of course, as of yesterday, he had surpassed the 124 hours set by the current holder of the record and is moving towards 145 hours, with supports coming from the leadership of the state to individuals, the youth community, all conversing for support and encouraging John Abbott to take the book on to the very end, and of course even surpass the 145 hours initial set. And of course, his resilience and his ability to continue after the first 50 hours was scrapped as a result of a technical glitch caused by a power outage has been widely commended. We also talked about the fact that in Nigeria, we're looking at President Ahmed Bola Tinubu traveling to the UN General Assembly with 17-man team, including the Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino, for engagement, which of course Agudin Jelale has told us the president will have different engagement to and strike some deals with CEOs of multinationals in the interest of the country. We also talked about the issue of brain drain in the medical sector, where Nigerians are in the droves outside the shores of the country for greener pastures, and of course it's been said that it would take the country about 20 years to be able to have enough doctors to cover the deficit. This, of course, is as medical practitioners in other African countries have reacted to the droves of Nigerian doctors into their territory. We're hoping that this does not spiral out into another kind of xenophobic attack like we saw in South Africa some time back. Of course, we also talked about the sex for grade and the sexual harassment in our tertiary institutions, where over 35 professors and lecturers have been found culpable, according to a report, and of course have been sacked. While the Minister for Women Affairs has also come under attack for a comment she made. Of course, she has issued an apology and reiterated a stand to support women. But right about now, we will be looking at democracy. The 15th of this month set aside as National Democracy Day, a day where issues of democracy, the ethics of the ideals and values of democracy is being looked into, and how countries of the world are actually celebrating and living out democracy is well looked into. Well, my guest this morning, our guest rather this morning, who will be helping us look into these issues are two actually. We have as first joining us virtually, Alistair Oyode Soyode. Alistair Soyode is joining us this morning. We also have MKO, Citizen MKO, also joining us. Together, we will be looking at democracy in Nigeria. Now, briefly, mentoring Commandant Alista Soyode is the pioneer founder of the first black and ethnic satellite television in Europe, Bet TV, and a former global diaspora leader, a recipient of many awards, and of course is now the international commandant of the International Mentoring Corps, among other positions he's held. Is going to join us virtually. Of course, we also have Citizen MKO O'Connor, the convener of Open Forum Foundation, a foundation that is committed to fighting for the rights of the oppressed and people who are unjustly not given their rights and entitlement by the leadership of this country. Of course, championing the cause for activism and the rights of people who cannot speak for themselves. Good morning, Matthew. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. Good to be here.
All right, welcome to Rise and Shine once again. I hope Alista is also with us. Good morning.
Hello, a very good morning to you and your audience and listeners around the world.
All right, good to have you. I have with me Davino Praise.
Yes, good morning and welcome to the show.
All right, let's start with you, Alista. I know that for a long time, recently you just got awarded for the great job you are doing in projecting Nigeria and the Nigerian agenda in the diaspora, and that is quite a commendable feat to know that the droves of Nigerians who are going outside for greener pastures are not disconnected from the Nigerian culture, are aware of life, all because of pioneers like you who are taking the extra step to ensure that you keep them abreast with content from this Africa. So, how is it like being awarded and appreciated for projecting our culture and our heritage?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. It is very exciting, very commendable, very something that we appreciate in behalf of my company and the Nigerian community and Ben Television to be recognized for what we are doing. We have been doing this for more than 2 decades, promoting the Black cause, the African cause, and the Nigerian cause. And of course, being a Nigerian, to set up the first Black-oriented TV station in Europe, it is well appreciated coming from the Nigerian government through NICCOM Commission. So it's something that we have to continue to do, promote our culture, promote our people, and maybe this are the direction that we need to continue to do, not just by individual people like us, and but collectively, every Nigerian that is out of Nigeria as a nation should do the best that they can to promote the culture, to promote the people, because by so doing as well, the investment that we seek as a nation will begin to increase, bearing in mind the more than $20 billion that the Nigerian in the diaspora have been contributing for family and other projects in the country. So I guess it's something that is well appreciated. We thank the Nigerian government through NIDCOM, through Dr. Abike Dabri, who's the chair, for recognizing what we are doing, and the more the merrier for other people that are doing the same thing in their different field and endeavor to promote our dear country and continent.
Well, it's great to know that your efforts and that of other Nigerians are being appreciated. But let's go to the focus conversation this morning. 15th of September is International Day of Democracy. They set aside to create more awareness as far as democracy is concerned. And this year, the theme is empowering the next generation, drawing focus to the fact that young people are the current and future custodians of democracy. First question to you this morning, and I also like to pick your brain, Mr. Matthew O'Connor, the same question. How would you rate democracy so far in Nigeria? 63 years we will be celebrating by October.
Ah, Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be on the program with Siri Day. He's doing a wonderful job. Talking about democracy, Nigeria will be 63 by the 1st of October, but democracy is not 63 years old. We've had, out of the 63 years, we've had uh, democracy now has taken about 34 years, while military rule took about 29 years of that. Fortunately, the foundation that was laid for Nigeria right from independence had to do with the real practice of democracy, with federalism as our mode. But unfortunately, when there was a first military coup in 1966, the military now introduced a unitary system where uh, Nigeria was no longer treated as a federating unit, where the regions were semi-autonomous. And unfortunately, by the time democracy came back in 1979, the civilians decided to sustain the unitary system, and unfortunately, that unitary system has not augured well. And that's the 1979 So 1983 democratic experiment was truncated with another military coup, which was led by the immediate past president, General Muhammad Buhari, and until 1999 that we came back again. For me, what we've been having as a country cannot be said to be democracy. What we've been having has been civil rule because the, the tenets of them being inbound recruitment of
Okay, I think we're having network interference. Let's come to you, Alistair. How would you rate Nigeria's democracy so far?
coup. And when you now look, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. MK, welcome back. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Network issues. Yes, I was trying to say that when you now look at the leadership recruitment process through the parties, how do parties
All right, let's go to you, Mr. Alistair. We want to also know your take on Nigeria's democracy as well. Mr. Alistair, are you with us?
Alistair, are you with
happened.
us?
So I hope you can.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. I think the networks are really interfering with the conversation this morning.
Yeah.
But just speaking from what Citizen MKO started off saying that Nigeria's democracy has not yet matured. When you look at the tenets of democracy and what is required for us to say that democracy has really advanced in Nigeria, and when you also look at the theme of this year's celebration, you're looking at the focus on the Nigerian youth, and then if you look at the percentage of Nigerian youths in the corridors of power over the successive administration, you would see that a lot of work needs to be done.
Sure.
The conversation has always been that some of the military administrators we've had as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, took over those positions in their 30s when they were in their 30s, but we're looking at Nigeria now on the democracy where people in their 70s, people in their 80s, people in their 60s are the ones at the corridors of power across board with a very insignificant percentage of youths. And it seems like the proverbial saying "youths or children are the leaders of tomorrow" is going to be a consistent recurrence. So we keep being told the leaders of tomorrow, and the tomorrow is never comes.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow never ends. Well, I feel like I have to agree with you on this one. There are many roadblocks to a strong democracy system, especially down here in Nigeria. Aside, political competition and communal ethic, religious or resource allocation rivalries also pose as major threats to democracy.
I think Alistair is back with us. I'm glad to have you back, Alistair. So let's get to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Nigeria's democracy so far?
Well, thank you very much. I think when we look at the years of Nigeria, we're talking about 63 years of age as a nation. And thank goodness that more than 30 years have been dedicated to democracy, almost 35 years. So it means by equation of 100%, it means majority of the lifespan of Nigeria as a nation is being controlled and led potentially by democracy as a nation. So looking at the bigger picture, I think we cannot say we have reached where we need to be because building a nation is a massive and a long journey. So, but we are in the right process of doing that. You mentioned the youth of today. One can give credit where credit is due to say, well, the youth of Nigeria, especially in the election that have taken place, shown a tremendous effort for them to engage into the calculation and the destination of the country as a nation. So we do hope that it's not just the youth participating through election, but standing for elected position as well, and mobilizing youth that believe in leadership, quality leadership, and good governance to direct the affairs of Nigeria as a nation. So I guess we are in the right process. People like us have ventured into the political calculation strategy to see what it takes to be a leader in the country, apart from being a leader outside the country. So, all things being equal, we just need to reprogram our mindset that indeed Nigeria would be great. Nigeria can be great in our lifetime rather than when we are not here. And every step that we can take in the right direction, telling ourselves that we can contribute positively to the development of our community, development of our local government. By local government, then we move into development of our state. By our state, we move into development of the country, Nigeria. Then we can definitely achieve something, and God's willing, within a short period of time, rather than the long time that we're thinking it's going to take. But I guess everybody has a role to play.
All right, Mr. Lister, you mentioned taking steps in the right direction. What are those few steps that you feel like we can take in the right direction as a people?
Well, I definitely believe that the law of Nigeria, be it defective that some people may call it, the Constitution of Nigeria, no matter how others might take it, need to be obeyed. The law of the land need to be obeyed, because law is supposed not to recognize somebody because you're rich or because you're poor. It doesn't recognize because you're from the northern part of the country or from the southern part of the country. It does not recognize your religion. It's just a law, and the law is applicable to everybody. So when the law of the land is obeyed, when I'm in Nigeria driving, and suddenly I see a convoy of cars jumping the traffic light, overtaking all the people who were supposed to have voted for them to be in office. I wonder, I say, well, these are the leaders that we have. They are the first people to break the law. So if you learn by watching things happening, then you are constantly on a daily basis watching the people who are supposed to protect you and protect the law of the nation breaking the law. So if you break the law, you broke the law, and then you expect me to follow the law, that is injustice. So for me, really, as a Nigerian, I absolutely believe that by following the due process and the law of Nigeria, Nigeria would be much more better than where she is as of today. So for me, taking the right step in the right direction is obeying the law, but I cannot stand and see other people who are, if I may use the word, less than me, breaking the law, or above me because we put them in the office breaking the law. That shouldn't stand. So each and every one of us really need to see what is good. And in a community, in a nation, when you see a collective people doing something, then that automatically can become acceptable in that community. For example, in my early days as a media broadcaster, when we broadcasting from Nigeria, where people are arrested, and then you can, back in the days, you can see them being handled by somebody slapping them from nowhere. That is human right abuse. Just because they committed the crime doesn't mean that you should take the justice into your hand, your own justice rather than the nation's justice. So we are afraid at this end. What is acceptable in the United Kingdom is surely not acceptable, for example, in Nigeria. For example, let's talk about the gay right. They accept that people can live together here. In my country, Nigeria, it is not acceptable. So it's a law. Let's follow the due process, and let's see how Nigeria will get better. But if we cannot follow, then we should not say people are breaking or people are not doing the right thing. And the news of the world now is global. You are in New York, Akwa Ibom State, I'm in London. We are hearing the same thing, we're studying the same thing, and we're sharing good news to the people of our country and around the world. So we shouldn't say, oh, why is the West attacking us, when the West can see what we're doing at the same time? So let's play a positive role. Let's deliver something positive for our people, and our nation will get better.
All right. One more question. There are many concerns about Nigeria having strong individuals as against building strong institutions. Do you agree or not to this particular motion?
Absolutely, I agree. Just like I said, when you sit down and you watch an individual who you and I, and those who have the opportunity of voting, voted for them to be in office, and yet they are abusing us because we are not in the convoy, we are not in the tinted car, we're not being protected by the policeman, then that is definitely correct. That individual are becoming much more stronger than an institution, and we need to build institution. I think that's one difference between our nation and the Western nation. The Western nation, they build the institution. No matter how big you are, the institution can come for you and can bring you down legitimately. So we need to build institution, and we need to make sure that individual, yes, you can achieve whatever level you want to achieve, especially if you build yourself. But build yourself. I don't mind if you're a billionaire, spend your billions anyhow you want, but respect us, respect the law, respect the country, and the country too will respect you. So yes, individuals are very strong. Institution need to be stronger than individual. Then my country, Nigeria, the most populous black nation in the world, with more than 200 million people, can you and I smile, not just smile in the studio, and then the moment we get out of the studio, we see a new, different world, and then we wonder, oh, you just been smiling now. You're the two of you beautifully smiling, and then the moment you get out, somebody now then throws sand at you. What for? So we need to build our country together, and individuals shouldn't be above institution.
All right, let's come to you, Citizen MKO. Glad to have you joined us back. Alista has just spoken about institutions. Let's have your take. Conversations about the need to build institutions cannot be exhausted, but you've been part of conversations, and the fact that people in position of authority seems to use state agents such as the police, the armed forces, to muzzle other people. I'd like to get your thought on this.
It's a very fundamental that we look at strengthening institutions, building institutions, and disrupting what is currently in place. The reality is that over time, democracy and how we practice democracy has corrupted virtually every institution existing. None is spared. From the religious, traditional, political, legal, every sector has been corrupted, and we need to do something new. And how will you do something new? And we are talking about democracy, and like the focus is on empowering the next generation. You look at the party system. For you to become a candidate or to even be an aspirant, you need to cough out as much as 100 million, between 50 and 100 million to get the form to contest. That is actually nothing more than corruption and intentional corruption to make sure that some persons are completely put away. And then the democracy itself, I want to quote what His Excellency, the former President just said about last week or 2 weeks ago. He said, I don't know the type of democracy that will work for Nigeria. But we have seen that the liberal type of democracy as practiced in the West will not work for us. And no less a person that Kayode Fayemi, the former governor of, I think, Osun State, agreed with him that we are in a quagmire. And that's the reality. So individuals have become so strong, they have become like cults. And if you are not a member or an initiate, it becomes impossible for you to fit in to political scheme of things. And it is important that, first of all, the constitution, like my brother Soyede talked about, our constitution is actually a decree. I think it was decree number 24. We've not even practiced it. We don't even adhere to it. The Electoral Act. People, including even INEC itself, did not even honor the Electoral Act. So institutions have been so corrupted that we must begin from the foundation to try to put things right. Otherwise, no matter what we do, no matter what we say, we will never be able to make a head start until we try to break the current corrupt arrangements that we have, which has undoubtedly plunged virtually every citizen. I don't know if we have more than 10% of citizens who are living above poverty line. The official figure is about between 183 to 150 or 180 million Nigerians who are multidimensionally poor because of how our economy has been mismanaged, the level of corruption, which is nothing less than outcome of corruption by political elites. And Mr. President calls them elites of elites. We need to rise against them. There must be the people's revolution without arms by conversations like this and the kind of things that we do, intellectual contributions, and then being ready to swim against the tides, because the people that have access to these monies in billions and even in trillions are ready to buy up everywhere to silence those that say we need to get things done right. So we must begin from the foundation. We must define what type of democracy do we want to run. We have to Nigerianize our kind of democracy, because what is practiced in the US and other advanced countries that cannot work here. So we must be able to come back home and decide this is the type of democracy we want to run. And then we need to build institutions and make sure that the corrupt individuals that have brought us to this level are brought to book to serve as deterrents to others.
All right, you mentioned some reforms that are necessary to see the democracy in our country take a step in the right direction, just like we also spoke with Mr. Alistair. And I'd like to ask you what you feel some of those reforms should be.
One of the reforms should be that in the leadership recruitment process, there is something that politicians call the party is supreme. Because if you elect people that are corrupt right from the parties, those are the people that are going to stand elections. And since we've not been able to have political parties in Nigeria yet, all that we have are just platforms that people move about here and there to, like a vehicle to board and get somewhere. We need to have the political parties' constitution must be subject to the laws of the land. You find a court saying that we cannot interfere in how a party brings out its candidates. That is pure corruption. A party cannot be Mr. A stand the election and wins on the field, and the party says, we don't like Mr. A, Mr. B is going to be our candidate. And the court says, we can't do anything. That is pure corruption. The party cannot be supreme in doing illegality. Two, the level of ignorance among citizens is acute. How many citizens have the Constitution? How many citizens have the Electoral Act? So under Open Forum, we have proposed severally, and I want to say it again, that we need to begin the teaching of the Nigerian Constitution and the Electoral Act. We have to include it in the curriculum. Citizens must be aware. We don't have to depend on your lawyers to interpret the Constitution and the Electoral Act. Citizens must be able to tell the institutions that this is what the law says. I see some kind of thing that have been talked about only over the ongoing election petitions at different levels. It shows that the level of ignorance among citizens is almost at 98%. And so politicians who are just 2% manipulate the entire system. So we must introduce the teaching of the Nigerian Constitution and the Electoral Act in our curriculum. And then we must, as a matter of priority, decide that we are Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are not just Nigeria as a unitary state. It's a federal republic. In a federal system, you will have federating units. Let the states be federating units, since we will not go back to regional system. And with that, the states will be able to decide how they want to grow at the pace they want to grow. For someone to sit in Abuja and wants to decide what goes on in my village, in the Bakang, in Senetai, where I come from, it's impossible. That's why we don't have progress. Let us define what we want. And we are Africans, yes. We are communal people. We cannot run a presidential system so expensive with some of the layers unable to even deliver. Why do we need two tiers? I mean, Senate and House of Reps at the national. We don't need that. One should be okay. If we cannot go back to parliamentary system that we started with, let us have just one arm of the legislature You know that the legislature is the symbol of democracy. The military have done wonderfully well in Nigeria. Most of the institutions that were built, the infrastructures from refineries to name it, was built by the military. And the politicians just came and crashed everything and decided to be refining fuel outside and brought in super humongous corruption in the fuel subsidy regime, which has now brought us to the precipice. So one with step by step, and then we need to also have a development plan. 30 to 50-year national development plan. Let nobody come and tell us he wants to bring light, he wants to bring water. Whereas, as a people, we can have a master plan, both from the state level to the national level, which we have to work towards. Every administration, you have to go by that plan. We've not developed. Democracy has not added value to us. Rather, it has brought us very low. So we must increase the level of consciousness of citizens to engage leaders. We find governors, even local government chairmen, behaving like emperors, and a number of them know little, next to nothing. But because they are there, they say they hold the knife and the yam, so everybody must go to be able to eat. If you speak, have alternative views, you'll be branded as anti-government. Meanwhile, those that even say they are benefiting from the system are dying. They are lamenting. They are pretending. They have corrupted the system so much that we need to let the people know that what the people you have been clapping for are actually people that you should be booing.
All right,
so it's time to engage leaders.
All right, thank you so much, Citizen MKO. We'll take that as your parting word. Ali, just before we let you go, Mr. Alistair, your parting word of advice to Nigerians in terms of democracy.
My parting word to Nigerians is really and truly be honest to yourself if you want good leadership, good governance in our country. And if you do, please stand for justice. Whatever justice is in your neighborhood, in your area, stand for it. By standing for it, then my country, your country, will be much more better positioned by God's grace. And God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless every Nigerian that wants best wishes for her as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alisa. We've been speaking with Alistair, of course, Soyode and MKO Connor in Akwa Ibom State, talking about democracy and Nigeria. But that's where we're going to pause on this conversation. Of course, we're taking a short time out. When we come back, we'll be heading straight to the front page of a national daily. Stay with us.